Hi,
Then
guys. Welcome back to my podcast. This is Arun Gala. My podcast is called Grabbing Coffee with Arun, Arun, where I talk to everyday people that are doing quite interesting things. Today, my guest is Chris Ballard. Chris is the president of Memorial Conservancy. And just to kind of start off with Chris, welcome.
yeah, great. Hi Arun, thanks for having me on. Happy to be doing this. This is my first podcast, so I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy. So, just to
Absolutely.
kind of start off with Chris, I run into a lot of people that really don't even know that the park is there, you know.
hmm
So,
hmm
so can you tell us a little bit about the park or?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I work for Memorial Park Conservancy, and we are the nonprofit that has been entrusted with taking care of the majority of Memorial Park for the city of Houston and Houstonians. So stepping back, Memorial Park is 1,500-acre park. You've got a couple of different entities and folks involved doing programming. You have the city of Houston that maintains and operates certain amenities, and you have the Conservancy that does things. And then we actually have great neighbors and partners at the Houston Arboretum and Nature Center. So we each kind of have our different areas, if you will, and kind of focuses. But um, yeah, we're really grateful to be in this position to be taking care of such a great asset for the city.
I can't believe it's that big. It's huge.
It's huge. It's we you will if you're spend any time around us at the Conservancy, you will no doubt hear us say almost twice the size of Central Park in New York City. That's a fun stat that we love to tell people. So it's quite big. Most people don't realize how big it is. Most people associate Memorial Park. I think this has changed since we've delivered some of our recent projects, but the running trail on the north side of the park, the 3 Mile Loop, is famous, and but there are acres and acres and trails in all sorts of different places, and particularly south of Memorial, there are uh, 400 or 500 acres worth of urban forest and trails back there. So um, it's a big park.
Wow. So, I know that is there like a bird sanctuary? I can't remember.
Yeah, there is. Hogbird Sanctuary is part of Memorial Park. It is just east of kind of what you would say the main park, right there near um, Bayou Bend, and yeah, it's a small portion of the park, but it is right along the bayou. That's part of it.
Yeah, what about all these benches, Chris, that are donated to certain causes or certain individuals and stuff like that? How does that work?
Yeah, so I think it'd probably be helpful if you don't mind, spend just a second kind of stepping back and Um, the Memorial Park has a long and broad history, and it first was a World War I training camp. Okay,
Right, right,
1917 to 1919, Camp Logan, one
right.
of 32 in the world in the U.S. And after the war, there was a group of Houstonians, civic-minded, forward-thinking, that um, wanted to do something and to remember those and honor those all that served in the war effort and particularly Houstonians there at Camp Logan. And so they began to buy the land and essentially give it to the city, sell it at a very cheap rate, and thus we have Memorial Park. So that's why it's called Memorial Park. And
It's interesting.
uh, yeah, and we can I could we could spend our whole time on that, and happy to do another one. Or we got a current project that's going to highlight and be all about that history called Memorial Groves. But then we fast forward 100 years, and the park's 100 years old, and it was is a city park, still is a city park, and was a city maintained asset. And then a massive drought in 2011, 2012, estimates of 50 to 60% of our tree canopy died.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was devastating. And I wasn't here at the time, but there's plenty of images and firsthand accounts, of course, of just how visually impactful and ecologically impactful it was. And so this was the moment that a group of people. The Conservancy was founded in 2000, so there was a primarily volunteer-led organization, a group of people who really cared about the park. Said this isn't good enough. The city said this isn't good enough. Like this is a marquee asset for the city. We've got to do more. And so we started into this master planning process. So
Hmm.
that was a 2-year process, public input, community feedback, um, and then design, and culminating in a comprehensive plan for the entire park that was approved by City Council in 2015. So, to your question about benches, it was this master plan that really uh, began to introduce this concept of what is the future of Memorial Park. Certainly, there was investment and
Hmm.
benches and little projects done prior to this. Absolutely, there was. But um, today there are different amenities that we build and
Right.
that we offer. Uh, we've got to fundraise to do this work, and so we offer different sponsorship or name donor recognition opportunities, such as benches or buildings, um, those sorts of things.
Oh, that's interesting. So where does most
Yeah.
of where does most of the funding come from? Does it come from t tax dollars? I know there's been a lot of donations from like Kinder Morgan and stuff like that, right?
Yes. So kind of picking up the story here, 2015, City Council approves the master plan, and at the time there were already began to think about how they might implement some of these projects. We were in partnership with the city and the Uptown TERS, uh, Uptown, it's a tax increment revenue zone. And then, really, in 2017, Kinder Foundation comes along with this catalyst gift of $70 million and
Wow,
says,
that's
"Yeah,
cool.
it was this moment that the city and Memorial Park Conservancy and Kinder Foundation kind of all got together and said, how bold can we be and how transformational can we be?"
Mm,
And so the Kinder Foundation put in $70 million. The city, through the Uptown Development Authority, committed to $50 million in capital, and then the Conservancy committed to raise another $50 million in capital dollars. Um, and so that moment created what we call the 10-year plan. So from
hmm
2018 to 2028, and we chose a there was a suite of projects chosen from the overall comprehensive plan to say, okay, what can we deliver in the next 10 years? And it began to put budgets and project timelines
If you
to
look at it,
those.
that seems like a lot of money, but it can
It's
be used up pretty quick, I guess.
it is. I mean, the land bridges and tunnels alone were $70 million, so it goes pretty quick. But we are incredibly grateful to, of course, our donors, and the Kinder Foundation has been instrumental. The city has been instrumental, and so you really got to think about, like all organizations, certainly nonprofits, two big buckets of money, right? You have capital. We want to build new things, dollars, and then you have operating year over year expenses, dollars. And so uh, the majority of the capital dollars have been privately raised,
Hmm.
and certainly the TERS has contributed some, but it doesn't. Those dollars don't come from the City of Houston general fund, right?
Right.
I've, so, and then our operational dollars are a mixture of some public funding, municipal funding through the City of Houston and the Uptown TERS. We have um, great partners and contractual relationships, such as through the Astros Golf Foundation and the Houston Open, and now the Chevron Open. They help support the park in a pretty substantial way.
Hmm.
And then the Conservancy raises a lot of dollars. So the way I like to tell people is each year we get about half of what we need from the city and those sort of contractual relationships, and then the Conservancy needs to go raise the other half in operational dollars.
Huh, that's interesting. So, Chris, how many employees does Conservancy have?
Yeah, we're up to, we say, 70, give or take,
Hmm.
here or there as the year ebbs and flows, but 70 employees. Yeah, really just we got a great team. We employ people across a spectrum of disciplines, folks
Mm-hmm.
who again go out and tell our great story and interact with donors and raise money. Um, we've got park operations staff,
Mm-hmm.
conservationists, ecological experts, and so they take care of the park each and every day. And they're split up into 6 different teams that do different tasks within the park. And um, yeah, we got a great team who uh, we work. One of our teams is 365 every day, all year,
Mm-hmm.
keep the park clean and looking great. So.
What about like security? I know that some of the ladies that kind of walk or run by themselves, that's been an issue in the past.
Yeah, security is certainly a topic that we we get asked a lot about, and is something that we think a lot about. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not a straightforward issue. It is one that, yeah, is difficult to. There's different angles, and so the Conservancy has been my approach. And again, I'm still quite candidly learning and trying to kind of get up to speed on our relationship with the city and what it means to be a city park.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we have focused our efforts on thinking about, okay, safety as a whole, right? That's a big broad
Right.
umbrella,
Right.
and what all are the components to running a safe public park. Um, and so it starts with the basic things like, okay, does the amenity work properly, right? Does the is the slide at the playground functioning? Are there trip hazards?
Mm-hmm.
Um, broken concrete, those sorts of things. Are the lights working where they should work, right? Where
Yeah.
where they're supposed to be lighting, is it on and is it working? Um, and then you kind of move into park usership, how people use the park.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, in conjunction with the city, rules and guidelines. And that is a portion of what we try to do. We don't have folks out there that is just their sole job each and every day to kind of enforce these rules. We really rely on signage, education, and a little bit of kind of community effort to say, hey, dogs on leash, right? And the more we can kind of get the buy-in of each and every park user, we think that will be helpful. So, and then the next, you kind of keep moving through to more extreme, if you will, security measures.
Mm-hmm.
We have a great relationship with HPD and the Houston Parks and Recreation Park Rangers. And so when necessary, we, of course, reach out to them. I would say there are a couple of HPD officers in the park every day. Um, and again, we have a great relationship with the commander of our district, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And when issues arise, then we call them and we do our best to work with them. And um, we are not set up to be the police, and they don't want us to be, and we don't want to be either,
Right. Right. I
frankly. And
was
so,
thinking that would it help to have like a security guard on the premises? I guess a bit kind of too much, I guess, huh?
well, it's certainly a concept that we've talked about, and other parks do it. Buffalo Bayou Park um, does it. Herman Park does it. Their situations are I think a little bit different, and different parts of the city face different challenges for different reasons, and um, it is something we've contemplated, but it is a big park, and
Right.
but we again we think a lot about it, and we have lots of policies, procedures.
Right.
We have staff there, pretty much the entire daylight hours when people are using the park. Um, so yeah, it's an ongoing conversation, and one that we're going to be super responsive to, and pay really close attention to the issues at hand.
So let me talk to me about the lighting because I think it's somebody did a pretty good job with the light fixtures, up at the top.
Yeah, lighting is a part of our it's part of our new projects that we've implemented. It's certainly a part of the design, a really thoughtful design about, okay, there's all sorts of lighting design criteria about how far and how many lumens and etc. And so the other thing that when it comes to lighting is for us, we do have the plants and the animals are a part of what we're thinking about as we're designing projects,
Hmm.
and so all of our lighting is what's called dark sky compliant, and so there's these different guidelines that I guess best, yeah, dark sky compliant wildlife organizations put out there that help with bird migration and animal movement in the park. And so all of our lighting is compliant that way. And then, yeah, try to be really thoughtful about where we put lighting and, um, that being a signal of, okay, this area is open and safe to use, after hours or it's not. So.
Yeah, one of the comment I was going to make was like uh, George Bush, the father Bush, he used that
Hmm.
park regularly, is what I
Yes,
heard.
yes, he
But
did. There's a portion of the park that is called Bush Groves. Um, to your point about benches and plaques and honoring moments, he has one of those. It's along the loop road, kind of right by the golf course. Yeah, you have to go check it out.
what about these restaurants that are along the trail, like Beck's Prime and all that? Is that's not owned by the park, right? Or
No, no. So the golf course is owned and operated by the city, and so they have a concession agreement with Bex. Um, then there is a we built a new cafe on the south side of the park near the running track,
hmm.
and so we don't operate it, but we lease it out. We've got a great partner in Vibrant,
Hmm.
very different menu and kind of vibe, and to Bex, and that was intentional. You can kind of go get your burger on one side of the park, or you can go get a little healthier option maybe on the other side of the park. So um, yeah, part of the overall mission, if you will, to provide different amenities and moments for park users.
What was the name of that cafe, Chris, that you
It's
mentioned?
called Vibrant.
Vibrant. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's an ice house along the trail too, right?
Not along, not in the park. I think there is
It's
an
along the
ice house
trail there.
called
Hmm.
Memorial, maybe Memorial Ice House. It's really really close to the park. There is a food court, excuse me, not food court, what we call live oak court, where we have food trucks
Hmm.
um, that sometimes has different food trucks and vendors there. Maybe that's what you're thinking of, but yeah,
So what are some challenges that you face as president of the Conservancy?
that's a great question. I think we have been so focused on, well, if you go back to the history, 10 years ago, 2015, 11 years ago, 2015, when the master plan was approved, the Conservancy was a handful of employees, literally 3 to 4.
Hmm.
And um, we didn't yet maintain any acreage in the park.
Hmm.
We had raised some money, but not substantial dollars. And we had never built a capital project. And so, but we were this organization that was on the cusp of, um, we're thinking about how do we do all of this. And we've been incredibly fortunate, and we've had tremendous partners that have helped us do all that we've done in the last 11 years.
Hmm.
But I do like to remind people that, or just kind of tell people that even though the park is 100 years old, the Conservancy in the modern day is really only 10 or 11 years old. And when you think about uh, long-standing organizations and businesses, that's very very young. And so part of our challenge is just continuing to mature as a business and as an organization, and that means a lot of different things. That means um, all the basics of running a business. How do you hire great folks? How do you retain great folks? how do you tell a compelling story about our work in the park to generate interest and generate dollars? Um, and so it's combined with the fact that we're not the only entity in Memorial Park. Again, you have the city of Houston that does things, you have the Arboretum.
Yeah, that right.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's some education, continuing education about who does what, and and right, folks deserve to know that. Want to know where to lobby a question or a suggestion, want to understand how the dollars work, and want clarity and transparency around those issues so they, when we come and ask them to support the park, it makes sense. So I would say that's a not so much a challenge, just an opportunity for us to continue to tell the story of Memorial Park and Memorial Park Conservancy. Um, more other challenges include, we kind of alluded to, the security. It's a big park. It's a public park,
Hmm.
and right, most of our park users are fantastic, but you have people who like to do, interesting things that maybe aren't best suited in a public park setting. So, um, we don't have gates. We don't have.
Yeah, I was thinking we could put a fence around it, but that would be too expensive and be
Yeah,
probably not very
uh, uh,
effective, right?
yeah, that would be pretty expensive. But yeah, we don't have, in single entry and exit points, and so that presents a challenge. Just and again, it's open every day, and I get it. It's a great place to go. And after Hurricane Beryl, people were out like that day,
Right.
hours after the
I
storm
mean, the
had
park is
passed.
open in the middle of the night, so you could just, it's pretty active in the middle of the night too, right?
Yeah, yes, technically, there's a couple of uh, trails that are 24/7. The majority of the park is, we follow City Houston, which is dawn to dusk. But yeah, when there's no gates, and you can't necessarily enforce that. So, but that's part of what we get to do, is running the big public park. Um, and then, finally, just it's thinking about the funding and thinking about the long-term future of the park, and how do we raise those dollars. And it is going to be really, really critical that we continue to tell a great story. And yeah, I'll say this here, but we we talked about Central Park, and it's different, right? I'm not going to say it's apples to apples, but Central
Right.
Park Conservancy has an endowment of, last I checked, over $400 million,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, and Memorial Park Conservancy, we're grateful for the support we've gotten, but we're probably around the $5 or $6 million mark right now. And
Mhm.
again, that's fine. We're a much younger organization. The park is just now getting these amenities built, but that will be a key focus of ours moving forward.
So, Chris, just one last question is,
Sure.
what's one of the craziest things that you've seen at the park or something that happened?
Oh man. Um, yeah, I mean, not to highlight this, but again, we had some folks do something when we built a new running track a couple of years ago. Your traditional kind of quarter-mile track.
Hmm.
Um, there were some folks who posted some videos, um, unfortunately, of people that had driven their car on there,
Mm,
um, and
that's not
that
cool.
was no, it was not cool. Pretty. Um, that's crazy in one sense, if you will. But I would say, I've gotten to do some really cool things in the park and see some really cool, just really great energy and people. One of the great things about the park is just it's there for everyone. It's
Hmm.
everyone's park, and to go and walk around the Seymour Lieberman Trail, the main loop on the north side of the park. I mean, you see everybody, and it's this collective energy about. the good of what green space and parks can be.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think that's been really special. And then our next project, last thing I'll say, our next project, Memorial Groves, has been a really, really proud and cool moment that I've been able to be a part of. And um, there's, like I said, a rich history to how it came to be, and we can't wait to tell more of that story.
One last thing I wanted to ask you, Chris. How did you get involved with the Conservancy?
Yeah, yeah. And I have a question for you before we go, Arun.
That's fine.
Yeah, I have only been in Houston 2.5 years. I came to the Conservancy. I applied for to be our chief operating officer,
Hmm.
um, and oversee really all of the financials and the operations team and be involved in our capital projects. I was doing that similar chief operating officer role actually in college athletics
Wow.
for a university. And so little different content, but the sort of the task at hand were very much the same. And so yeah, I applied to the job on a whim, if you not on a whim, but just applied to the job, and I have always loved plants, green space, landscape, ecology to a degree, and just thought it
Yes.
would be a really great way to take my current, at the time, what was my current experience and background and apply it in a park setting.
I know there's a lot of trees on the premises, right?
Uh, yes, I don't know how many
I know there's quite a
millions.
few. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So what before we go, what is your? I love to hear people's Memorial Park stories. What is your favorite thing to do or favorite spot in
Well,
Memorial Park?
like I said, we use the trail quite a bit, and I like it when I could just go and check out the lake, you know. When so we
Yeah.
have I'm visually impaired, and so we have guides that walk with
Okay.
us and run with us, and when they point
Great.
out different things like the trees or the lake or the glades, and it's kind of cool to see all the benches and all that, you know.
Yeah. Well, very good.
So,
Very
but
good.
it's just
Very
I love Memorial Park. So
great.
anyway, but
Great.
if you guys want to reach me, my email is arun arun dot gaalla at gmail.com. And Chris, thank you very much for your time and keep up the good work.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Arun, and we will hope to see you in the park soon.
All right, take care.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Yep. Bye.